Is this thing on? It's okay. I can talk really loud. It's all right. So yes, welcome to day 3 of Used Car Week, and most specifically the pre-owned con. And a big thanks, by the way, to our presenting sponsor, Equifax. I thought that was a great session that they did, and I was really appreciative. I don't know about you, of just the fact that they were willing to be so transparent and deal with the black swan, as they called it. So listen, I hope you're enjoying this La Quinta Properties and a fantastic venue, I think, don't you think? And I really appreciate the few of you right now that decided to come in from the sun and fun and sit in the dark room for us for a few minutes and actually work. So, all right, I guess I was the only one that thought that might be funny. So I'm Steve Leslie. I'm the publisher of Auto Remarketing Magazine, and as Bill said, on behalf of all of us at the AR team, we really thank you a lot for coming to be with us this week and sharing your information and your ideas as well to make the industry better. So yes, without further ado, I want to introduce Patrick Brennan to you, Senior Vice President of Cox Automotive. He's going to share with us today on maximizing velocity throughout the used vehicle life cycle. So I'll get out of your way and his way and let you guys get right to it. Patrick, big hand for Patrick.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it. Good morning, everybody, and I echo Steve's comment. I wasn't sure how many people would be here given the beautiful location and the weather, so thank you guys for taking the time this morning. I have 30 minutes, but I know there's a lot of meetings going on, and I won't take all 30 minutes, I promise. I'll get you out of here in about 20 so you can take the next step in whatever your day might be. But I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about what we're seeing from a high level at Cox Automotive, what we're seeing in the industry, some of the challenges, some of the changing times that are taking place. I'm going to also spend a little time talking about what we're getting as far as feedback from dealers. We have a new tool out there, and we're getting some direct feedback from dealers on a quarterly basis. That's pretty interesting, so I thought it would be something valuable for you all to see. And then the last thing, I'm going to shift it a little bit and talk about some tools and maybe some services that we think can help the dealer operate a lot more efficiently and a lot faster, and all around the idea of velocity and things that we try to preach all the time. So with that, I'm going to jump right in, and I'm going to talk about all the different things that we're seeing in today's landscape and some of the challenges that we see out there and some of the changing times. A lot of industry experts are talking about the next 5 years. We're going to see more changes in the next 5 years than we're going to see or we've seen in the past 50, and it certainly feels that way given the breakneck speed that everybody's running at all the time. But look at some of the things that we see are really, really challenging. The media landscape continues to change. It seems like on a monthly or even a weekly basis sometimes, and all the challenges around that. Digital retailing and how fast that's coming into the industry, and really the demand from the consumer to interact with the dealerships in a much different way. That's been a big, big challenge. Or the open platforms becoming the technology of choice. Building and connecting those, but also navigating that from a dealer standpoint and what that means. Since I've been in this industry, which is a long time now, we've always talked about the compression on the margins and the weight on the margins for the dealers. It's still present today, and it will be ongoing. It is that way for almost any business, and we need to understand and how to navigate that as well. And also the last piece there, and we all know about just the sea of vehicles that have been coming at us off lease over the last few years, and that's not stopping anytime soon, but it certainly is slowing down, and you've probably seen these graphs before in the past. I know Jonathan Smoke, our chief economist, has talked about this through the years, and we all know about the trough of 2012 and the steady increase coming out of 2012. But what we didn't see coming maybe and realize how to handle it was that hockey stick in 15, that extra 500,000 vehicles that hit the marketplace, and it happened again the next year. That's starting to slow down. We know it's the growth or the increase is starting to slow down, but we're not at our peak yet. And we recognize that that's at least a few years away, and we're going to have to still understand how to handle that onslaught of off-lease vehicles and what it means to our dealers and our marketplace. With that, though, something really interesting happened this year. We were expecting the wholesale prices to start to weaken, and that just didn't happen. Something very strange. Jonathan, again, I heard him on his podcast recently talk about the fact that we're breaking the normal laws of economics and supply and demand. The retail demand has kept the prices higher than we expected this year. It's really, and you can see it on our vehicle value index, the Manheim Vehicle Value Index, at 136.3 is an all-time high. It's 8% higher than this time last year. So it's not something that's sustainable. We know that this will change. It's going to have to change with all these vehicles coming into the marketplace, but it's certainly something that has surprised us this summer and into the fall and winter. Hopefully here in the next month or two, we're going to see some of that relief maybe into the next quarter or sometime in 2018. So at Cox Automotive, we can crunch a lot of data and look at values and look at volumes and things of that nature, but one of the things we also want to do is spend time really hearing back from our clients and what they're feeling from the front lines and how that is and how they're handling all the challenges from the front lines. And what we started this year is something new called the Dealer Sentiment Index. And we're hearing exactly what they're feeling. We've done this in the second quarter, and this is third quarter data that I'm going to show you, not the entire report, but pulled out a few really interesting pieces of this. And the fourth quarter index will be coming out on December 11th, so keep your eyes peeled for that. It'll be interesting to see if some of these numbers have changed. We really anticipate this gaining some traction through the years, and it'll be a nice leading indicator of what the marketplace is doing and how the dealers are feeling about the market. And ultimately, it could really give us some insight into what's going to happen even before the data and the numbers are showing it. So this first piece is about how are the dealers feeling about the general market itself. Is it weak? Is it strong? Real simple. They answer 13 questions, and we can digest this data and come up with this index. And you can see at 45, below 50, they're feeling it's a little bit weak right now. It's a little bit of a split message, though, as you can see from left to right here. On the franchise side, they're at 55, so they're feeling a little bit more optimistic from the franchise perspective. But on the index for the independents, you can see they're down to 42, blended at 45. That's actually down a little bit. It was 48 at the second quarter report, so this is going to be interesting to see what this turns out to be next month when the fourth quarter index comes out. As I dive into this a little bit deeper, you'll see some of these things that really drive that uneasiness about the market. Retail pricing pressure. Again, both from the franchise side and from the independent side, they're both feeling the pressure to keep prices low, which isn't a big surprise. They've got to compete for those consumers, but they're really feeling it, and it's part of that reason they might be thinking the overall marketplace is a little weaker. This particular number has not changed much since the second quarter. And we don't think it'll change too much when the report comes out next month for the fourth quarter either. I'll go to another one. The cost of running a business. This is pretty evident that they're feeling the pressure regarding costs and what it's doing to their business. Again, both on the franchise side and on the independent side, it's something that is top of mind for them all of the time. This, again, hasn't changed much for the last 2 quarters, and we don't feel like it's going to change much in the fourth quarter report either. I'm going to show you another one that has changed, and that's around profits, or in this case, really declining profits. It's a really big issue for the independents. Not as much for the franchise dealers, and you can see it's at 50, right about the average. So some are feeling good, some are feeling bad. It averages out about 50. But for the independents, it's actually sliding down the scale at pretty notable rate. Last quarter, that was 43 for the independents, and you can see it's down to 38. Our blended score was 44. It's down to 41. So this is one that we're going to have to keep a close eye on. The independents are certainly feeling a lot of pressure around declining profits in their business. So one more item related to the index that we have out there right now, and it's really one of the last questions I think we answer or have them answer is, what are the top factors that are holding back their business from being profitable, from being more robust and dynamic? And you can see a long list of different things that get ranked here, from market conditions to limited inventory to competition, which is always out there. We don't necessarily like to have competition, but we know it's very healthy for everybody to have that competition out there. But the one I want to key in on is the limited inventory. The ranking you're seeing on the screen is actually a blended ranking. It's for independents and franchise dealers. But when you break this out and peel it back, when you look at it from a franchise perspective, the limited inventory, the challenge of finding inventory is kind of in the middle of the pack. It's not at the top, it's not at the bottom. It's a factor, but it's not one that maybe is a top of mind all the time for them. And when you think about it, that makes sense. They certainly probably take more trade-ins that fit their model and things of that nature, and they certainly have the first crack at the off-lease inventory. But when you look at it from the other side, the independent side, it's the number one issue. It's clearly the number one issue that the independents are facing as far as what's holding their business back. And one of the other factors outside of the benefit of what the franchise dealers have is the fact that there's so many fewer cars in the car park out there that they typically put in their inventory model. Those 5 to 10-year-old cars just were not produced at the same level, at the same volume that they are or were before the Great Recession, and that's the cycle that we're in. That's what we're trying to get through today. So it's really been an issue for the independents to try to navigate what that feels like, and it's been a big, big challenge for them, and it's going to persist for a while longer. So I've given you kind of our view of the landscape as far as challenges and the fast pace of change and things of that nature, and we've heard from some of our clients on what they're feeling out there in the marketplace from the front lines. I really like to shift a little bit here for the last 10 minutes and talk about some of the things that we think we can provide to the dealerships, to the industries that can help them move things much, much faster. I'm going to talk about that velocity that Manheim and Cox Automotive preaches all the time. And it starts really with this quote from this particular dealer in North Carolina down in the southeast. And it's really all about, what he's saying is all about being able to focus on what's really important to his business, and that's buying and then selling vehicles, and not getting caught up and getting frustrated and confused about all the things that wrap around that. If he can focus on these things, then he's making a lot more money and his business is running a lot more efficiently. And that's what we're trying to do when we talk about velocity, to move things through the marketplace very, very quickly, because we know at the end of the day, if that is what we accomplish, then it's much, much better for our clients. So that's what we're trying to make sure our clients understand. But we also need to know that it's not just about our clients, it's about us too at Manheim and Cox Automotive. So it's not just something we're preaching externally to our clients, it's something that we really, really believe in at Manheim and at Cox Automotive. And when we think about what Manheim is today from what it was when it got started back in 1945, that one auction house in central Pennsylvania has grown into this network of auctions across the country, across North America, and even around the world. But it's not just the auctions. It's not just the physical auctions anymore. It's everything that surrounds the auctions itself. Think about our products like Assurance, Deal Shield, and post-sale inspections, or our logistics companies that help dealers every single day, Ready Dispatch Ready Logistics and Central Dispatch. All the reconditioning opportunities we have for our clients, not just pre-sale, but post-sale. We have our really dynamic inventory finance company next year in Indiana that services over 20,000 clients. Really is the fuel behind a lot of businesses. Without it, those businesses wouldn't probably even exist if they didn't have that opportunity to have that type of thing. And then the inventory management tools that we have out there with vAuto and Stockwave that really help dealers find the right kind of inventory for their market at the right time, at the right price, and things of that nature. Manheim has evolved a lot, and Cox Automotive has evolved a lot to try to help that ecosystem of the used car market, and that's what this wheel is depicting and what it looks like to be a part of that marketplace. Specifically at Manheim, just in the last few years, we've invested more than $400 million in our operating systems, in the way that we're doing things, really to disrupt what we've been doing for many, many years in our own internal processes. Again, to help the dealer and better serve the dealers as they move forward. We've taken a look and changed things on the pre-sale side and the post-sale processes. We've looked at all of the data that is being generated and how we're crunching all that data and consuming it and ultimately driving it and giving it to our clients so they can do a better job of managing their own business. It's really important, again, that we evolve at a very, very quick pace to make sure that we're servicing our clients much better as they try to navigate things. You know, and as we look at some of the other things that we're doing and we'd like to maybe make sure our clients know about and really are comfortable with that could really help with velocity, we break it down to a couple different areas. The buy and sell options have really changed through the years, and we know that finally, after many, many years, there's a lot of traction out there in the digital space. And we need to make sure our clients are up to speed on all of that, whether, again, it's digital at the auction or off-site. We want to make sure everybody's comfortable. The second one there, the retail reconditioning. We're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail in just a few minutes, but it's really about rethinking the way reconditioning is done at the dealership level, the post-sale, the post-acquisition point, again, to reduce the bottlenecks and the time from acquisition all the way to the front line. And then a space that I know fairly well here recently in the last year and a half is understanding the logistics landscape and how important it is today, especially given the digital traction that things are taking place and acquisitions taking place outside of the normal market that dealers operate in, and understanding what logistics is all about and how it can truly benefit the speed at which things can move from the acquisition to the front line so things can get settled quickly and sold fast. I want to back up and talk about those buy and sell options. And again, it's much more than just the auctions these days. It's about the dealer-to-dealer networks that are out there and that are gaining a lot of traction, whether it be on the Manheim side or even some of our competitors. Knowing how to navigate some of that is really, really important. The dealer direct events on our OVE platforms and how important they are to be able to source that type of inventory or even dispose of inventory in these days. And another one I want to point out on this particular page is not digital in nature per se, but it's much, much different because it's off-site. And we've seen tremendous traction in this area, and that's the mobile auctions that we have. It's bringing the auction to the cars and to the consigners and ultimately maybe where the buyers are as well, rather than the reverse where we've always traditionally brought the cars to the physical locations. All three of these areas, just on the Manheim side, are up 50% since last year. And the one in particular that's really grown tremendously is that mobile piece, and it's gotten a lot of traction. We expect it to continue to grow in the near future. So they've acquired the cars, and now there's all these other things I talked about from acquisition. They have to get it all the way through the process, all these challenges and things that slow things down, and the bottlenecks that I spoke of, and how do you move along that process much, much faster? Again, it's all around velocity, getting the cars quicker to the front line so they can be sold more effectively. And you can see them on here, transportation and the inspection and the retail reconditioning that I just mentioned a few minutes ago. Even merchandising, digital merchandising, getting that car up online fast enough. I'm not going to go over all these and talk about them. I'm going to talk about the ones I mentioned earlier. Retail reconditioning, different than it's being done today. It's so important to maybe think about this differently than what it's done today. It can be slow. There's a lot of vendors involved. Sometimes the space in the service bays are being used or on the lot. Again, it takes a lot of time and effort. Sometimes the quality's not there. I would ask the dealers to be thinking about a different way of doing things here, looking for that one trusted partner that can put it into a production model, a production system that can consistently produce the same kind of quality and obviously at a much better pace to move it along and experience that velocity. We're doing that for a lot of dealers today. It's not just about the pre-sale reconditioning that goes on at our sites today for our big OEM customers or our captives or even some of our large dealers. It's about our post-sale or post-acquisition reconditioning that takes place as well, and it's really gained a lot of traction with a number of dealers, and they're experiencing that improved quality. They're experiencing that improved pace of the process to move the cars along on that velocity side. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the landscape of logistics. Again, I've been here for the last couple of years working with the team, and I'll be the first one to tell you, logistics is a daunting business. It really is. It can be very, very challenging when you're in the middle of the carrier and the shipper or the dealer that all want their piece of it and make sure that we're doing the right things. And it's also a part of our business that hasn't changed very much in the last 10, 15 years. It's very manual in nature. It's very human-driven in nature. But things are starting to change here in the last year or so where technology is really starting to push logistics along very, very quickly and reducing that manual intervention of what takes place. And it needs to. We know that it needs to because, one, we want more consistent service, and we also want more visibility The dealers, the shippers certainly want more visibility. So technology is certainly pushing logistics in the right direction, like technology pushes everything in the right direction. And they want it that way. Our clients want to make sure of one thing in particular, and that's reliability, and making sure that that car shows up when they expect it to show up. Not 5 or 6 days after it was supposed to be there. The SLA says 2 days, it should be there for 2 days. They need to be planning things. They want to make sure that they get it in, if they are doing their own reconditioning, that they do the reconditioning the right way. But logistics is really starting to move in that direction because technology will provide everybody with that reliability and that consistent behavior from what they're expecting. So some really good things with regard to that. The last piece on logistics I want to talk about is the connectivity. The connection points that are really important, that are really starting to take hold here just in the last year. And what I mean by connectivity and integration, it's about integration to different products or services that are out there that we've seen some tremendous value in. I'll talk about the one with our assurance products. I mentioned them a minute ago about Deal Shield and post-sale inspection, and how important they are in today's world, especially given the digital nature of everything and where cars are being purchased. We're seeing a tremendous value in connecting logistics to assurance, because what it does is it stops the clock on the assurance product itself until the car gets dropped at the dealership. And that gives even more confidence to the dealer to buy outside of the marketplace, because he can marry it up with an assurance product, and he ultimately has time to make sure that it is the car that he needs for his inventory. Amazonification, that's a big word. Buying things. It's really about making sure you don't have to make 6 phone calls and 3 emails just to coordinate your transportation. It's about clicking, 1, 2, click, and you're done. Just like you do when you get on Amazon and you order those products or goods, and they show up on your porch, or they show up in your office. That's what logistics is doing. It's really the easy button. And that's where it's right around the corner to make sure almost every car that gets ordered is really easy button, and you're not sure who's going to deliver it, but it's going to be there in 3 days the way it's supposed to be there in 3 days, in a much more consistent way. The last one I'll touch on here is financing options. Again, something we started this year, connecting the cost of transportation to the floor plan for that particular vehicle. We've been able to do that with NextGear and Ready very seamlessly. For the client, it makes things very easy. They don't have to worry about administratively, cutting checks and the carrier and alike. The other big piece is it's a huge cash flow lift. They don't pay for the transportation until the floor plan is relieved or the car is sold, and ultimately the floor plan is paid for. So a lot of great things. We've seen a lot of clients really latch onto this one that are in the NextGear world, and we're expecting that to grow a lot more in the future. I'm going to close it out with this. I told you I was going to get you guys out of here a little bit early. This is a quote from Dale Pollack, who is a key executive for us in Cox Automotive, and a lot of people know Dale and in the industry, and they certainly know that he knows something about velocity as well, given the fact that he has written a few books about it. So we all face challenges. We all know that the times are changing very, very quickly, but Dale puts a fine point on this, saying the faster we can move cars through the marketplace to the front lines for the consumers or for our clients to get in front of consumers, the better it is for them. It's better for their top line. It's better for their bottom line. They're going to move a lot more cars. And that's what we're striving to do at Cox Automotive, in particular in Mannheim, bringing these new strategies and products to the market all the time for all of our clients, so it's much easier for them. With that, guys, I want to thank you all for the privilege of your time here this morning. I really appreciate the attention in the audience. It filled in pretty nicely in the back. I appreciate that. Hope you guys really enjoy Palm Springs. It's a beautiful sunny day out there. So thank you guys very much.